I'll talk a bit more about physical stuff, like real products. Well, of course, these are real products, as Mikko-Pekka was explaining, but about when you actually have some iron. Oh, and now I need the full screen. Is it like? There was this question of when to start using design, and this is also always quite annoying question, because I think it's already the wrong question. And now I try to explain in 40 minutes why it's the wrong question. It's like if you want to learn to swim, so when do you actually go into the water? I think it's quite wise to go right away. My friend, they just got this a kid, a small human being, and I went there. I don't have any kids myself, but yeah, it's fun. And I was a bit annoyed about it. They make noise, and it's not always that nice. Well, there was this a small 2-month-old creature, and then the guy gives it to me. So I asked, okay, does it come with design, or are you going to add it later? Maybe at age 18 or something. So you should start right away, or even if you don't start with the design right away, it's anyway there. It's always done somehow. And when you get this first impression, it's already done then. Okay, but I graduated from here, Otaniemi, some years ago, and also from the University of Industrial Arts. So it's nice to be back at the crime scene. Okay, so design. What is industrial design? It's many things, and of course now that we have these iPhones and iPads, it's very much, we are talking a lot about user experience, because there has been this great things have been done by Apple and also some other companies in that. But of course there's also this hard metal stuff, like you have trains, paper machines. I was working for 7 years for Metso Corporation. They make paper machines and that kind of big iron. And the point is that my point is that you make money with industrial design, because always when you are in economy where you actually sell something, you always have to be able to eventually sell it. And then what you are interested in is that how much did it cost for you to make it, direct costs of product. Then you have general costs of product, that you have some kind of organization, or in startups it's really small organization, but anyway you have some premises or something, and general costs of organization. Oh, okay, this is product and this is organization. And eventually you'll get some money from the product. It depends on how well you market it, how well it's done, and it would be nice to get some profit also. Actually, you have to get some profit. So design is one of the key elements to do it right. If you don't do it right, so you are out of business. So here's one small question here. Which one has better design? If you can raise your hand if you think that the one on the left is a Volvo is better design. 2, 3 people. Scandinavian design, yeah. From Sweden. And then there's the Mondeo. Which one? German design. 1. Okay, weird. Yeah. Okay, well, this was a thing called jäynä. We have in Otaniemi have this jäynäs. It's a thing that you make some kind of trick to people, and this was a trick because you didn't have the information yet. Because in Finland we have this thing called syksy. It's the autumn. It's raining. It's -2 degrees. It's also still raining water, even if it's minus temperatures. But luckily it's also windy, so it's really cold. And you are actually walking to the car, and you don't want to take your hands from your pocket because it's so cold. You still want to open the doors. And what you do, and you don't see anything. You don't even see the car because it's so dark. That's marraskuu for you. So there's the design. Now, this is the thing that you actually want, even though there's a huge amount of other things in the car. But you want to do it so that you open the doors from your pocket. So Volvo, you can actually feel which button is up and which one is down. So you don't have to take your hand away from the pocket. And there in Ford Mondeo, you don't feel. All of those buttons are up. You don't know which one is which. And this is a good example that it doesn't cost anything to do it right. I mean, they have all the same costs, but still they have done it wrong in this Mondio, even though they have like millions and millions of money. So that's one example of user experience from physical product. And of course, you can do this. Maybe those. You can do design in different levels. You can design a physical product like this, or then you can design the whole product line if you have all the Microsoft products or Apple products. Of course, you can also have a design of the whole company. Maybe it's the graphical guidelines or branding of the company. Then we are not in a vacuum. Of course, there's the society around, and it affects all the companies. If you are trying to do business in like the former Soviet Union, it's very different from the modern like Germany now, or if you are now in Greece or Spain or Finland, it always affects, and eventually you have the whole world, and it doesn't end there. You can, I mean, if you are the president of United States, you can do great, like you can design the whole country. So it can be conceptual work, R&D projects. For me, these are, I know most about R&D projects from the hard industry. Or then you can try to do design when you are already late 2 months. So that's why you should actually start with this design before you start, because it's otherwise you are eventually late. And of course you have service design for products that eventually are on the market all the time. We don't have to go all the way to the moon to look at this, but well, anyway, it's always you have the bigger picture. Well, if you want to go to the dark side of the moon, you can find this Iron Sky design startup. I think this is also design. It's very artistical stuff and also makes good profits at the moment. I don't know if anybody has seen the movie. So what is heavy or industrial design? Again, this is what I've been doing in Metso at paper machines. Here is the whole machine that makes paper, and then you have eventually have one component here that it's called the foil box. It takes away some of the water from the paper viira. When you start to make paper, you take fibers, then you add 99% water, and then you just try to get the water away from there. A funny system, actually. So this old product, it weighs 1,500 kilos, and then there was this. This is my master thesis from the University of Arts. It's 8.5 meters, and it's 550 kilos of stainless steel. And eventually, after 1 year of work, it was done with this design thinking, and it was eventually 58% lighter and cheaper than the one that was before. And how do you do these kind of things? Design is a job that, of course, it's always been there, but after Industrial Revolution, in a way, it got. It became as what is called occupation. The first first designer was Raymond Loewy from France, and then he moved to USA, and he has done first things were trains, and he did many things. People from Finland, maybe it's Risto Väätänen. I was working with him for many years, and then there has been Kai Frank and many other people. But I'm not that interested in this Kai Frank stuff and this kind of Aalto-Malekko things, because if you think about design and you think, does anybody know this Aalto-Malekko? It's this annoying little glass thing that you have. It's not, of course it's design, but it's so small. I mean, if you look at the whole revenue of Marimekko or Iittala or Artek, those are like, it's nothing. But when you have this kind of company like Metso, Kone Cranes, it's milliards of euros. But the whole revenue of Iittala or Marimekko, it's maybe 10. Can it be 100 million? I don't know. But it's small peanuts. So what would be useful is to use design in these companies that are really big, like Kone and that kind of places. So these are historical design principles. It's not that they wouldn't be known. It's always you want to do things. It's light design. You take away as many parts as possible. Like Mikko-Pekka said, that it's best to it's hardest thing is to take away things. But that's good design. Modularity and clean design. Simple structures, cheaper to produce, and you have to understand the business, the way to make business. So that's also why you should have to be there in the very beginning. You have to understand the fundamental soul of the product. It's not that you could first make this train and then you add design later. It's actually quite expensive. Okay, well, you have to talk about Steve Jobs. It's a bit annoying, but you can't avoid it. This is from one book. I've read two, and he says that we don't have to talk about this kind of thing. Most people think that design is veneer, like vaneri, veneer, or this aaltomalikko. But design is the fundamental soul of a man-made creation that ends up expressing itself in successive outer layers of the product or service. So it's like this iPhone. Of course, it's quite good to use. It should be there. And there's also a nice story about how they are buying a new washing machine to the family. And you could think that that's rather boring, but actually they are talking about it for weeks and weeks, and then they eventually they buy one European washing machine that is so nice to use that it's the most interesting thing for years that he saw. So we have been talking a lot recently about design thinking, integrative thinking in school and otherwise. So it's the term that you use. And a design thinker, it doesn't have to be a designer. Many engineers can be really good design thinkers, and I mean you can be a psychologist or anything. I don't know, a doctor or whatsoever. Most of there has been many really good companies in Finland from the medical healthcare, something that they have been started by doctors. It can be good that you don't know too well the technology. You are not an engineer, like this Pipetti, Finpipetti, this kind of good stuff. X-ray systems also, big companies now. And there's a difference also in how you do. If you are going to develop something, as maybe most of you are, it can be a user interface or a physical product. You start with the brief. You should have a good brief that what are you going to do. So eventually you have the end product, lopputuote it says in Finnish there. And you start with sketching concepts. And then you make more refined design, engineering, coding, whatsoever. Prototypes, models, 3D, rapid models, printing, you can use many methods. So you should start early and fail often with this. You should do the first crappy prototype immediately with paper, pencils, anything. You can use many things. Traditional way of thinking in a maybe more conservative organization can be that you start with brief, you go the red line to the final design right away, and you end up with a crappy product that doesn't succeed in the market. So you should do ideation, implementation, inspiration. You should go around all the time. This is a brief for that foil box. You have some basic forces that it has to withstand, and you have some measures that this is approximately 7 meters. Then you have frequencies that you want to avoid, and this kind of picture, it helps people to talk about the thing that you are making, because if you have just pictures are very strong. It helps people. You have maybe 10, 20 people. They all have their own idea of what we are going to do. If you have a picture, it's easier for them to talk about it. And it doesn't cost a lot to make this kind of picture. 2 hours and it's there. So here's one sketch of a digital a computer product that I've done. There's the first sketch, what could be. Already with this you can start to talk about it. Should it be this or not? And then you can make 3D modelings. You model with these programs, Rhino or something, and eventually you have a prototype. But you can already start selling with this sketch or with the rendering, because it takes more time to make the prototype. So, it accelerates the information and makes it faster. This is pictures about R&D project of this foil box. Here again you have the brief. And of course, you are working in an environment where somebody has already probably done what you are doing. You have competitors. Then you have subcontractors who are going to produce it maybe. And then you have some strategical hopes of the company. And then you have some resources and skill levels. And you start making, with these agile methods, fast prototypes, sketches, renderings, stress analysis, maybe more renderings, and eventually you have the product. That's how you should actually do it. And there's now we have a huge amount of these very useful things that have not been possible for a long time. This is a picture of 3D print of something that will eventually be 3 meters high product. But already we made the 3D print to the scale of 1 to 25, but it's possible to talk about many things when you have this kind of something physical that you can bring to the meeting. It's very useful. Because I've also been to meetings where you have 15 adult men talking about one poor drawing that is in two-dimensional form. And if you think what that costs to the company, that you have 15 people wasting their time there, and nobody understands what the people are trying to explain, so that's very expensive here. So this helps. And also with renderings, you can try to think, okay, should this open this way or that way? What happens to the cables there? Can you open it? Can you close it? And it's like augmented reality, but with low cost. Of course, you can make quite easily. I mean, here in Design Factory, you have this kind of machines that you can make one-to-one scale models of the thing. And then you can have some of your friend or somebody who comes there and tries to use it for the first time. So you can see something there. Maybe you don't, maybe you see. But the good thing is to do something in advance that people have not designed it completely, so they are willing to change it more likely than if it was already like designed to be ready. So you should do it in advance. And here is how you do it wrong. This is from the Valtion Rautatiet, the railroad system. So can anybody see what happens in there in the screen? Can anybody read it? No. Anybody? It's a bit worrying because there are 68 million people who are trying to see it. Here is the first obstacle, and there is the second obstacle. The thing is that this has looked quite good when you look at it from like this. You are designing it with the computer. You look straight away from here. But the thing is that when it's built, it's there. You don't actually see it. It's saying that you should give your, are you going to use Visa debit or credit? And then it needs your number. But it's impossible to see it. And from VR's internet pages, I found that the goal for VR's operations is a satisfied customer. So that's why I use the term of the hopes of the company. I mean, if you are a big boss at VR, you have hopes of what could happen. But in a way, they don't know what's happening in the company. So I don't believe in leaders that much. And there's how you do it right. I think this idea came actually from Estonia. This is Smart Post by Itella. This is a way to save huge amounts of time. I was just reading today from the Helsingin Sanomat that people are annoyed because the queues in the post office are so long. But with this, you can go just to your local Prisma, and you need just 4-number code, and you get your package in 2 seconds from there. You just put your code there, and then you get it. It's a really amazing user interface. Okay, so here are more examples of the quick sketches. This is a quick, crappy sketch, but you can talk with the thing, with possible manufacturers, that should it be something like this. Of course, when time goes by, you'll model it more thoroughly, and then you get the finalized design. But already with this crappy sketch, you can talk most of the things. You can even get this first estimation of price, which is useful. Also, design and visual way of telling stories is very strong. At least for me, this is very easy to understand. Okay, if you would write this down, it will take maybe half a page or 1 page. Okay, I'm going to have something in Finland, something in Europe. I'm going to maybe produce something. I can think what the products could be, what is my value proposition, production costs in different European countries, market situation, competitors, production, logistics. So at least for me, it's very easy to understand pictures because we haven't had books for many. I mean, it's been only some thousands years, but we have had all the other stuff for 100,000 years. So pictures are strong. This is also a very good book for anybody who's thinking about his or her business model. There's a book, Business Model Generation, also web pages, and they have this business model canvas that is shown here. You can already try this with your idea. You put your value proposition here. You can make pictures or draw whatsoever. There's also an iPad application. Then you think about what is your customer relationships, channels to those, customer segments, revenue streams, cost structure, key resources, what are you going to do yourself, what do you know, what are you going to buy outside, your partnership activities. This is very useful. I actually even bought it. I never buy applications, but I actually paid 24 euros for this application. So you can do this in iPad, and then you can also calculate stuff. You can put money there, and there's some system there. Okay, so is this still on or not? Yeah, it is. Well, this is about quite sophisticated and big product in a big organization. I don't know if this is valid for a really small company. But there's some people, how many people you have in doing the same thing? I was doing this for maybe 2 years, and I never even saw all of the people who had something to do with the product. But here you can see you have engineers, people from the marketing, you have some product owner, stress analysis, you can have some program director, design, product line chief, subcontractors, sellers, buyers, inspectors, subcontractor, producers. So they all should have the same visuals of what we are going to do or understanding. When it doesn't end there, then you have different concepts. You have dynamics concept, production concept, stress analysis, usability, design, energy efficiency, cost, marketing concepts. And then you have different models, 3D models. You can have 5 different. And other stuff. Drawings, part lists, emails, notes folders, renderings, written texts, in napkins when you are having a coffee with your producer. So it should be a lot of communication. And it's a lot of people and many perspectives. Well, the user is not even there yet. So, and eventually have this something. This is the foil box prototype. And here are actually the guys who did it. And it will be very, in big companies it happens that you don't eventually, they are so far, the people who are actually doing the thing. They can be in China. It's hard to talk to them, so that's a huge problem, I think. And this is my former boss, Sampa J. Salminen from Metso, development manager, and he said that it's about people. It's 80% communication and psychology, 20% design. When I came from school, I thought it's about engineering and the physical things. And it took some years before I understand it's actually psychology. It's not stress analysis and the other things that I thought it is. And they are making now, Metso makes this. This is the top of the line paper machine now. It's called OptiM. And well, if you have seen paper machines before, you know that this is something very revolutionary now. They are building the first one in China now. And these are projects where you have really too many people there. So you have to have pitkä pinna to have nerves. But one thing is that eventually when this is built, you have this picture, and then somebody is selling it there. And it costs maybe, I don't know, 50 million euros. So it's in the end, it's somebody there, so one of you who is deciding whether to buy. And it's just one picture. And then it can be the looks, of course it's the costs and everything. But, well, if you really want to make money, then you should have design in the first place there. Here's also one good example of a fast prototype made with a gluing gun and some paper board. This. It's actually this thing. This is what it was in the beginning. And we even made a prototype, and we found out that this is completely crappy and we don't want anything like this. And then we eventually built something like that. So here is the picture that explains everything. So here you have your own process. You are developing something. It can be a physical product or then some user interface. And here is the market, and eventually single user, somebody who's using it. And you are aiming to make some profit here. So you should have that kind of development process inside your own organization, that you use this design thinking methods, get physical fast, make fast prototypes, have a lot of communication, ask somebody who's not too familiar with the thing, that you get the user perspective also. And if you do it right, it should be a big mess, but you end up with something that is competitive on the market. Because here is your competitor, you should have better price or more value to make profit. And I think I still have time. Yeah. 5, okay. So we have this TV shop in Finland in the 90s. That eikä tässäkään vielä kaikki. It doesn't end here. Here is Fabio. He was selling stuff in television shop. So what is really powerful also in design is that if you want to get a picture of some big phenomena, you can make this. This is a picture of the DCT machine. And this is just to explain how many things we had inside of Metso, to think about it. And then we have this border, and on the other side is customer, who has never seen any of our projects. So it's a good way to explain multiple, well, it's like multiple variable analysis that the whole world is. Well, this is the strategical industrial design in concept development. Maybe for me everything is design, because you could also say that this has nothing to do with design, this business model canvas, but for me it's visual way of thinking. You can download this thing from the website. And also very strong thing in marketing products is to use this design. This is a project that I did for Metso. It was 1.5 years. There was this guy, Jani, who had developed this role. And then it's not enough, you also have to sell it. So that's why we made this long project of, in a way, to explain to the customer who has never seen this before, that what is this great Thermaster doing. Now that I have time, I can show also one example from the how to make nice marketing material for something in the paper machine. It's called the head box. It's the first part of the machine that forms the paper. And of course, we have all all the analysis and the engineering stuff and that kind of things. But also it's useful to use modern methods to make animations.
Three keywords. What is good design?
Well, it should be as simple as possible. You take away everything that you can take. It should be intuitive and it should be cost efficient.
I want to understand the difference between industrial designing and mechanical engineering.
Yeah, there's huge difference in the education. There's huge difference in the education of that. Of course, that's true. I even wrote an article about it because I was angry because somebody said that James Dyson was an engineer and he came from an art school. So, okay, biggest difference for me was that when I was studying here in University of Technologies, we were 200 people in this classroom. You saw the picture, and there was a guy, maybe 50 years old guy, explaining about mathematics, and I really liked that. It was great. Also, finite element analysis, and I liked those things. It was good. But when I went to the art school, there was actually this room where we had 10 people and a naked dancer, and we were drawing that. So that's the biggest difference, I think. And that's actually also how you learn to make good products. Because when you are starting to learn to draw, it's called act modeling, drawing. You start drawing the eye or the finger to the wrong places. Eventually you have a mess. But what happens, you take 2 steps backwards, and then you have a look, okay, what do we have there actually? Okay, there's the spine, there's the center of gravity, some feet, okay, and the feet are down and the head is there. So you take a wider look at the thing, and then you make some straight lines, and eventually you get the things to the right places. It's the same thing with mathematics also, or social sciences. You get the bigger picture. I don't know if there's any difference. If you look at you read the Coelho, the alchemist, the book, he says that everything is the same. So in a way it's the same, but you have naked girls in the art school.
I wanted to ask, when you did this designing of this paper thing, did you know who is the buyer, or did they thought at that moment to whom they want to sell it, and in design wise and all this everything, or you just make it and then look to whom to sell it?
So that of course there was and there is a product that is already done. So this was a project to make it better. The thing is that in these big companies you don't even that easily get to see all the people that you should see. So actually it took some years before I ever even saw the guy who is going to maybe sell it. And it can be also that the seller is on the other side of the world, maybe in Indonesia or something. So it gets harder when so the big advantage for startups is that it's a smaller organization and people really care, or they should care about the work.
I wanted to know, should or can design be sacrificed for practicality? I mean, you can have something designed beautifully and so on, but it's not practical. Or it should be somehow vice versa.
It's always this compromise. It's always a compromise because you have so many things there. You have to add everything in. So you just eventually the market will decide whether it's in the market economy, the buyer is the king. He or she decides eventually, and then you just know that was it the right sacrifice or not. It's hard to know. At these days, it seems that the usability is the key to many things. That if you don't have good usability, you are not even in the game. I mean, it's complicated. It's hard to do really good products. It's not easy. It takes huge amounts of effort. And
thank you, Rats. And now with big hands, big thanks.